Hello everyone. Today we are going to study about an important endocrine gland known as pineal gland. Pineal gland is one of the most ignored and understudied endocrine gland. So without wasting any more time, let us begin. Pineal gland. Actually, this gland is present in the brain. This gland is present in the brain, and its name, pineal, actually refers to its shape. So this gland is representing a cone shape. Okay. So a cone is shaped something like this. This gland is also a cone shaped gland. At the down of this page, you can see the micrographic image of this gland. If you make an outline, you will see that this gland is actually cone shaped gland. Okay. So the word pineal refers to pine cone shaped gland. That is, it refers to its shape. Then, this gland is also known as epiphysis cerebri. Epi means on, physis means outgrowth, and cerebri refers to the brain. So, this gland is basically an outgrowth of the brain, hence also known as epiphysis cerebri. Then, it is a very small gland, it is a tiny gland, and it develops by an evagination of the roof of the third ventricle, that is ectodermal in origin. Now, what this means? So basically, in our brains, there are these hollow cavities called ventricles. These are called ventricles. Okay. So in our brain, there are two lateral ventricles which open into a third ventricle, and this third ventricle then opens into a fourth ventricle. This gland, this pineal gland, actually develops by an evagination. Evagination means an outgrowth. So, during the embryonic development, it is observed that in this third ventricle, there is an outgrowth at the back side. This outgrowth is called pineal gland, and it arises from the roof of the third ventricle. Okay, somewhere here, and it becomes the pineal gland. Okay, so this gland is a tiny gland that it develops by an evagination of the roof of the third ventricle. And because our brain is formed by the neural ectoderm, that is, brain is a derivative of ectoderm. So normally, this gland will also be a derivative of the ectoderm because it is derived from the evagination of the brain. So I hope this slide is clear to you. Now, the first point says that pineal gland is a modification of the neural ectoderm. We already know that it is a modification of the neural ectoderm. Then we have to study about the kinds of cells that are found in the pineal gland. So in the pineal gland, there are two types of cells. There are cells called pinealocytes, and then there are glial cells. Now, when you have studied about the nervous system, you must have studied that in the nervous system, there are two types of cells. There are neurons, and then there are glial cells. So all throughout the nervous system, that is in your brain, spinal cord, you will find these two types of cells. And because this pineal gland is a modification of the nervous system, so here also you will find neurons and glial cells. But here, the neurons are modified to form cells called pinealocytes. And these are secretory in nature. Normally, neurons are not secretory in nature, but here they have modified to become secretory in nature, and they produce a hormone called melatonin. Then the other type of cells which are present in the pineal gland are glial cells, which are for support. So pineal gland has two types of cells: pinealocytes, which are modified neurons which produce melatonin, and glial cells. Then, scientists have observed that this hormone called melatonin, the levels of this hormone in the body varies in a 24-hour period. That is, throughout the day, if you measure the quantity or the concentration of hormone in the blood, it will vary. And because it varies, it shows a rhythm. It shows a rhythm which is also known as a pattern. And because this pattern varies according to a 24-hour period, it is known as a circadian rhythm. That is, or we can say that it exhibits a circadian rhythm. So what I'm trying to say here, that it is observed that melatonin secretion exhibits a circadian rhythm. That is, it exhibits a 24-hour pattern of secretion. What is this 24-hour pattern of secretion? Here it is observed that the secretion is high during the night. That is, if you will measure the quantity or the concentration of melatonin in the blood during the night, then you would see that the secretion is high and it remains low during the day. And that is why there is a pattern, and this pattern is referred to as circadian rhythm. Now, how is this pattern occurring? This pattern is actually linked to the day and night changes in the environment, or you can say it is linked to the light in the environment. Here, you will see a graph and you will notice that the melatonin secretion starts to increase around evening time, that is around 8 p.m. and it reaches a peak around, you can say 3 p.m. and then it starts to fall after that. So what the thing that we can understand from this graph is that its secretion is highest during the evening and night, and for the rest of the day the secretion remains low. This is the circadian rhythm which is exhibited by melatonin. In this diagram, you can also see that there are certain neuronal pathways which lead to this circadian rhythm, which actually stimulate melatonin secretion during night and stop melatonin secretion during the day, which we are going to study in the next slide. So I hope this is clear to you. Now, a lot of people, even today, they call pineal to be the third eye. Now, this is not true as far as higher vertebrates or humans are concerned. An eye is an organ that has some sort of photosensitivity, that is, which can detect light directly. But in case of humans, pineal gland lacks any direct photosensitivity. There is no direct photosensitivity of pineal gland in humans. It is located deep within the brain where light cannot reach actually. But it gets information regarding the day and night from our retina or from our eyes through a polysynaptic pathway or through a multi-step neural pathway, that is through neurons, which convey information to the pineal gland regarding the day and night. And consequently, the gene expression within the pinealocytes is turned on or off. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that in simple words, the pineal gland in human has no direct photosensitivity. That is, directly it cannot sense whether it is day or night because it is located deep within the brain. But it gets information regarding the day or night from the eyes. Now, how it is getting information regarding the day and night from the eyes? Actually, there exists a neural pathway, or in other words, we can say that there exists a polysynaptic pathway. Polysynaptic means there are many neurons that are making connections with each other and there are many synapses. Hence, polysynaptic pathway or a multi-step neural pathway that will convey the information from the eyes, that is from the retina, to the pineal gland. Here in this diagram, you can see this multi-synaptic pathway. This pathway, there are cells within the retina that will get the information regarding the light in the environment. They will send this information to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is present in the hypothalamus, via the retino-hypothalamic tract. This suprachiasmatic nucleus will send the information to the paraventricular nucleus, which is again located in the hypothalamus. From the paraventricular nucleus, this information will be sent down into the spinal cord and it will return back to the pineal gland to another nerve, you can say, through another neurons, and thus the pineal gland will get information regarding the status of the light or the status of the day or the night in the environment. So it is seen that in the presence of light, that is during the day or in the presence of artificial light, norepinephrine release is turned off, and so the synthesis and release of melatonin is low. Now what happens is that the neuron or the nerve which is directly innervating the pineal gland, this neuron or nerves, basically nerves, they release a neurotransmitter called norepinephrine. When this neurotransmitter is released over here, when norepinephrine is released over here, the pineal gland starts to produce melatonin and starts to secrete melatonin. So what happens that during the day, this norepinephrine release is turned off. Okay, this norepinephrine release is turned off. So when there will be no release of norepinephrine, there will be no production of melatonin by the pineal gland and no secretion of melatonin, or the release of melatonin will be low. The opposite of this will happen when there is no light. That is, in the absence of light input, this pathway, there are changes that happen in this pathway, and the nerve which is innervating the pineal gland, it starts to secrete norepinephrine, and now pineal gland can begin its synthesis of melatonin. So in the absence of light input, norepinephrine release is turned on and melatonin synthesis and secretion is started. And because all this process happens during the dark or the night, melatonin is also known as the hormone of darkness. Now we don't really need to know the details of this pathway, the neuronal pathway, but having an idea of this pathway is good, because sometimes they may ask you questions regarding how the pineal gland is getting information regarding the status of the day or night in the environment. So if you have an idea of this multi-step neuronal pathway and from where the information is going where and what is happening, then you would be able to answer it more clearly. So I hope this is clear. Let us move on. Then we will study about the melatonin hormone. Actually, melatonin hormone is an amino acid derivative. That is, it is derived from an amino acid. This amino acid is called tryptophan. This amino acid is used to produce melatonin by a multi-step pathway. Here in this image, you can see that this is tryptophan, which is an amino acid, and this amino acid is absorbed by the pineal gland, and it is converted to melatonin by a multi-step pathway. So first, it is hydroxylated, that is an OH group is added, then decarboxylated, that is CO2 is removed, and then it changes to serotonin. Then serotonin is further changed into melatonin. So why this pathway is important? This pathway is important because tryptophan first changes to serotonin, which is an important neurotransmitter. And then serotonin is changed to melatonin. So we should also have an idea of this conversion pathway. Okay. So you see that it is a multi-step pathway. There is no direct conversion of tryptophan to melatonin. Now, as far as roles of melatonin is concerned, not much is known about its role, but there are some roles that are well established, such as the role in reproductive axis and secretion of gonadotropin. Now, it is observed that melatonin hormone is actually anti-gonadotropic. Why anti-gonadotropic? Because it inhibits the secretion of gonadotropins. Gonadotropins are luteinizing hormone and follicle-stimulating hormone of the anterior pituitary. These two hormones are responsible for the initiation of puberty. Now, because melatonin hormone is anti-gonadotropic, that is, it stops the secretion of these two hormones, therefore, it can delay puberty. And that is why the levels of melatonin are seen higher in children, and with the time that they attain or they become teenagers, the levels of melatonin drop because now puberty has to start. Okay, so this is one role of melatonin. The thing that you have to understand here is that it is anti-gonadotropic. Then in case of humans, because melatonin is released during the night, it is involved in maintaining sleep, although it is not essential for this function. So it is said that it is involved in maintaining sleep and for a good sleep, but it is not essential for its function. And at last, we see that with advancing age, there are certain deposits of calcium and phosphate, which in the form of crystals accumulate in the pineal gland. They are known as brain sand or corpora arenacea. Now, I will show you corpora arenacea. We have already seen that in the first slide. Okay. So, in the first slide, if you will see the diagram or the real image of the pituitary gland, there you can see black colored dots. Those are corpora arenacea. They are actually deposits of calcium and phosphate which accumulate in the pineal gland due to aging, and their function is not known. Okay, so let us move on. Now we are done with pineal, and there is one question for you. So let us do this multiple choice question and test what we have learned. Which of the following is true in relation to pineal gland? A. Pineal gland is derived from neural ectoderm. I have already told you that pineal gland is an evagination of the brain, and brain is derived from ectoderm. So this is true. Pinealocytes are modified smooth muscle cells. No, I told you that pinealocytes are modified neurons. So this is false. Melatonin is secreted by glial cells of pineal gland. Again wrong. Melatonin is secreted by pinealocytes, which are modified neurons. So this is also wrong statement. And melatonin secretion is high during night and low during day. This is a true secretion. We have already seen that melatonin secretion exhibits a circadian rhythm, that is high during the day, high during the night, and low during the day. So I hope this lecture was helpful to you and you have learned something. So if you have learned something, please like and subscribe. Thank you.